What happens when one of Hollywood's most beloved actors finally reaches his breaking point live on television? What happens when decades of bottled-up frustration erupt in the last place anyone expects? Today, we're breaking down the moment Danny DeVito stunned the view, and trust me, this wasn't just another heated exchange. The tension was so thick you could feel it in the air, and what Joy Behar said next left the entire studio frozen. Stick around, subscribe, and drop a comment below. Because this story twists harder than a pretzel factory, it was supposed to be a routine appearance. Danny DeVito arrived on The View to promote his latest project, expecting the usual lighthearted questions about his career and upcoming work. Known for his sharp wit and no-nonsense honesty, he took his seat at the panel, coffee mug in hand. Relaxed and ready for a friendly conversation, Joy Behar, as always, kicked things off. "Danny, you've been in Hollywood for decades," she said with a familiar smirk. "You've seen a lot of changes. What do you think about all these young actors today complaining about everything? Back in your day, people just did their jobs without all the drama, right?" Danny shifted slightly, his eyebrows lifting just a touch. "Well, Joy, every generation faces its own challenges. Young actors today deal with constant scrutiny, social media pressure, and mental health issues that weren't even discussed when I was starting out." "Oh, please," Joy interrupted, waving him off. "Mental health. Social media pressure. Give me a break. We didn't have safe spaces or participation trophies. We had real problems. These kids today are just soft." The other hosts exchanged uneasy glances. Danny's jaw tightened, though his voice stayed measured. "I wouldn't call anxiety and depression being soft, Joy. That's a dangerous way to think." Joy leaned forward, her tone dripping with condescension. "Danny, you're from New Jersey. You know what tough is? These Hollywood brats crying about their feelings while making millions sits embarrassing. They should be grateful. Grateful." Danny repeated, his voice sharpening. "Success doesn't protect you from depression or anxiety. Some of the most successful people I know fight the hardest battles." "That's the problem," Joy snapped. "Everyone's a victim now. Whatever happened to personal responsibility? To dealing with your problems instead of making them everyone else's issue?" The studio fell silent. Danny's grip tightened around his mug, his trademark smile gone. "Personal responsibility," he said slowly. "You really want to talk about that, Joy?" "Absolutely," she replied. "People need to stop whining and take responsibility for their own happiness." Danny set his mug down with a hard thud. "So when a young actor takes their own life because they can't handle the pressure, that's just a lack of responsibility." Joy didn't hesitate. If someone can't handle being rich and famous, maybe they chose the wrong career. Plenty of people would kill for those opportunities. The words hung in the air like poison. Danny's face flushed as the other hosts shifted uncomfortably, none daring to interrupt. "That's interesting," Danny said quietly, his calm now unsettling. "So you think mental health is a choice? You think depression is weakness?" "I think people need to toughen up," Joy replied. "My generation didn't have time for emotional hand-holding. We had real problems. Real problems." Danny nodded. "Tell me, Joy, what was so much harder when you were starting out?" She hesitated, then recovered. "We didn't have therapy on every corner. We figured it out ourselves. And how did that work out?" Danny shot back. "How many comedians from your era struggled with addiction? How many died young because they were figuring it out alone?" "That's different," Joy snapped. "Addiction is a disease. Mental health is just attitude." Danny's eyes widened. "Did you just say mental health is just attitude?" On national television, the tension was unbearable as cameras zoomed in on his face. Joy, oblivious to the storm she'd unleashed, doubled down. "Yes, If you choose to be positive, if you choose gratitude, you'll be happier. It's that simple. Danny stood up abruptly, his chair scraping loudly against the floor. It's that simple, he demanded. Joy, do you have any idea how ignorant you sound right now? Ignorant, she shot back, for believing in personal responsibility. You're ignorant for dismissing the real struggles of an entire generation, Danny fired back. You're ignorant for pretending mental health is just a mindset. And you're ignorant for using this platform to spread dangerous misinformation about something you clearly don't understand. Behind the cameras, producers waved frantically, but it was too late. Danny Devito had crossed the point of no return, and Joy Behar had just lit the final fuse. Asterisk, you know what? Joy, Danny said, his voice now carrying across the entire studio. I've been in this business for over 50 years. I've worked with hundreds of actors, sung, old, famous, forgotten. And I've watched some of the brightest talents destroy themselves because they believed exactly what you just said. That their pain wasn't real. That they just needed to toughen up. Joy tried to cut in. Danny, I think you're overreacting. Overreacting. Danny let out a short, bitter laugh. You just told millions of viewers that mental health is an attitude problem. You dismissed every person watching right now who lives with depression, anxiety, or anything like it. And I'm the one overreacting. The panel sat frozen. The audience was silent, transfixed by the raw anger pouring out of the normally easygoing actor. Look, Joy said, forcing a calmer tone, I'm not saying mental health isn't real. I'm saying people today are too quick to use it as an excuse. An excuse? Danny snapped. An excuse for what being human? For struggling. He leaned forward. Do you think Robin Williams used depression as an excuse? Do you think Philip Seymour Hoffman used addiction as an excuse? These were brilliant people fighting battles you can't even imagine. Joy's face flushed as her defenses went up. That's not what I meant, and you know it. I'm talking about entitled young actors who cry victim every time something doesn't go their way. Entitled? Danny stepped closer to the table, his hands slicing the air. You're sitting on national television with a platform that reaches millions, and you're using it to spread stigma and ignorance about mental health. If that's not entitlement, I don't know what is. I have every right to my opinion, Joy shot back, her voice climbing. This is America. You absolutely do, Danny replied coolly. And I have every right to tell you your opinion is dangerous, uninformed, and frankly disgusting. The word landed like a slap. Joy's mouth fell open. Excuse me. Did you just call my opinion disgusting? I called it what it is, Danny said without hesitation. It's disgusting to minimize people's pain. It's disgusting to reinforce the stigma that keeps them from getting help. And it's disgusting to sit on a platform like this and spread misinformation that can cost lives. Joy stood, matching his intensity. How dare you lecture me about what I can say on my own show? I've been doing this for decades. I don't need some actor telling me how to do my job. Your job? Danny laughed in disbelief. Is your job to shame people for their mental health? Is your job to tell them their suffering is a mindset problem? Because if it is, then yes, you're doing it perfectly. The tension was suffocating. Cameras captured every second as viewers at home watched. Stunned. I am not shaming anyone, Joy insisted, though her voice wavered. I'm saying people need to take responsibility for their own happiness. And what about the people who are taking responsibility? Danny fired back. The ones in therapy. The ones on medication. The ones doing everything they can just to get through the day. Are they still not trying hard enough for you? That's not what I said. It's exactly what you said, Danny thundered. You said mental health is just attitude. You said people just need to choose positivity. Do you have any idea how harmful that message is? Do you realize someone watching right now might stop taking their medication because you told them their illness is all in their head? Joy's composure cracked. I never said anyone should stop taking medication. You didn't have to, Danny cut in sharply. When you tell someone their depression is just a bad attitude, Danny said steadily, what do you think happens next? When you tell someone their anxiety means they're weak, what's the logical conclusion? Hey. The other hosts glanced back and forth between Danny and Joy like spectators at a tennis match, unwilling to step into what had become deeply personal. I think you're putting words in my mouth, Joy said, though her voice wavered. Am I? Danny asked calmly. He lifted his phone. Should I replay what you said? Should we listen to your exact words again? 'Cause I guarantee everyone in this room heard exactly what I heard. A low murmur rippled through the audience. Joy's face flushed. She knew the ground was shifting beneath her. Fine, she said, folding her arms. Maybe I could have chosen my words more carefully, but my point stands. Too many people use mental health as a crutch instead of doing the hard work of improving their lives. Danny stared at her, stunned. A crutch, he repeated. You just called mental health a crutch on live television in front of millions of people. Do you hear yourself? That's not what I said. Joy backpedaled quickly. I said some people use it as a crutch. Who? Danny shot back. Who exactly? Which young actors are faking depression? Which ones are pretending to have anxiety for attention? Name them. Give me examples. Joy opened her mouth, then closed it. I'm speaking generally. No, you're not. Danny cut in. You're making accusations without evidence. You're recycling the same stereotypes that have been used for generations to silence, dismiss, and shame people who are already struggling. The studio fell completely silent, broken only by the soft hum of the cameras. You know what the real problem is, Joy? Danny continued, his voice intensifying. The real problem is people who think they get to decide whose pain is valid. People who believe suffering has to be visible to deserve compassion. I'm not judging anyone's pain, Joy insisted weakly. I'm just saying some people handle adversity better than others. And there it is, Danny said, throwing up his hands. Translation: some people are stronger, some people are tougher, and some people are just better at being human. Do you have any idea how toxic that mindset is? Joy's face had gone crimson, her composure fraying. You're deliberately twisting my words to make me look bad? I don't need to, Danny replied coldly. You're doing that all on your own. One of the other hosts finally tried to step in. Maybe we should take a commercial break? No, Danny said firmly, never taking his eyes off Joy. We're not cutting away from this. It's too important. You started this conversation, we're finishing it. Joy straightened, forcing confidence back into her posture. Fine, let's finish it. I stand by what I said. This generation is too sensitive, too entitled, and too quick to play the victim. The victim card, Danny repeated, quietly, shaking his head. You know what, Joy? I've met real victims. I've met young actors who tried to kill themselves because the pressure and shame became unbearable. I've sat in hospital rooms holding their hands after overdoses. I've spoken at funerals for people who couldn't see another way out. The emotion in his voice was unmistakable. Several audience members wiped away tears. That's tragic, Joy said, though her tone felt distant. But those are extreme cases. I'm talking about everyday complaints. It's a constant whining. Their lives are hard, Danny snapped. Do you think fame makes you immune to pain? Do you think money erases trauma? Well, do you think success rewires the brain? Money gives you resources most people don't have, Joy argued stubbornly. The best doctors, the best treatment. What's their excuse? Danny let out a sharp, humorless laugh. Excuse? An excuse for what being human? For having the same brain chemistry as millions of people who don't live in mansions. Joy exhaled in frustration. All I'm saying is, when I see wealthy young actors complaining about mental health while living in luxury, it's hard to feel sympathy. And that, Danny said, pointing directly at her, is exactly the problem. Asterisk, you think suffering only counts if it comes with poverty, Danny said. You think pain is only valid when it's paired with financial struggle. That's not how mental health works, Joy. That's not how human beings work. Joy crossed her arms. I think perspective matters. Gratitude matters. And too many young people have lost sight of both. Perspective, Danny repeated, nodding slowly. You want perspective? Here it is. When a young actor stands on a red carpet, smiling for cameras, they may be fighting off a panic attack. When they give interviews about their next project, they might be holding themselves together by a thread. And when they go home to those mansions you keep mentioning, they might be completely alone with thoughts that terrify them. That's very dramatic, Joy said dismissively. It doesn't change the fact that they have advantages most people don't. You're right, Danny said, surprising everyone. They do have advantages. They have resources. But they also have people like you telling them their pain doesn't count because they're successful. They have voices in the media, minimizing their struggles because they don't fit some made-up standard of who deserves compassion. The studio was silent. Even the crew had stopped moving. I never said their pain wasn't real. Joy protested weakly. You said mental health is an attitude, Danny replied. You said it's a choice. You said people just need to toughen up. If that's not denying their pain, what is it? Joy exhaled sharply. I think we're going to have to agree to disagree. No, Danny said firmly. We're not. This isn't a difference of opinion. This is about basic human decency. This is about whether we reinforce stigma or show compassion to people who are struggling. I am compassionate, Joy snapped. Really? Danny asked, incredulous. Because what I saw today wasn't compassion. It was judgment. It was dismissal. It was ignorance. Behind the scenes, hosts and producers gestured frantically, desperate to end the segment. You know what your problem is, Danny? Joy said, her voice rising again. You're so busy protecting feelings that you can't face reality. Some people are stronger than others. Some people handle stress better. That's just life. And you know what your problem is, Joy? Danny shot back. You think strength means suffering in silence. You think coping means pretending everything is fine. You think asking for help is weakness. That's not strength. That's ignorance. Joy recoiled. How dare you? How dare I? Terry interrupted. How dare I challenge dangerous rhetoric? How dare I defend people who can't defend themselves? How dare I use my platform to lift people up instead of tearing them down? You're being disrespectful, Joy said, but the conviction was gone. I'm being honest, Danny replied. And honesty feels like disrespect when you're not used to being challenged. What you said today was wrong. It was harmful, hey? And someone needed to say that apparently. That someone is me. The confrontation peaked. Joy slumped back in her chair, visibly deflated. Danny stood still for a moment, breathing hard. Then straightened his jacket and turned to the camera. To anyone watching who struggles with mental health, he said calmly, your pain is real. Your struggles are valid. And asking for help is not weakness, it's strength. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. With that, Danny walked off the set. The cameras kept rolling, capturing the stunned silence left behind. The audience didn't move. Joy stared at the empty chair, her confidence shattered. This wasn't just a clash between two celebrities. It was a moment that laid bare the divide in how we understand mental health and a reminder that words, spoken on powerful platforms, can either wound or heal. What do you think? Did Danny go too far? Or was Joy completely out of line? Drop your thoughts in the comments and subscribe for more moments like this.